Hey everybody who's joining. Hey everybody who's joining. Kind of curious to see how many people we actually get in here right now. Damn, 11 already. That's fast. You guys are quick. Hey Vince. Hey Carlos. Mini MMCF sick t-shirt, bro. Where'd you get it? I got it from a friend of ours in South Africa. You like that? Look at that. Travel South Africa. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool, right? Oh, okay. So, looks like a few people, and looks like a few people are in here now. And you probably saw the whole title. Super bummed. I'm super bummed because I'm gonna have to take my motor out again. Not looking forward to that at all. I have been driving the Mini now for a little bit, just kind of running things in, getting kind of getting all the kinks out, a few leaks here and there, which are to be expected, and that was fine. However, I kind of got it up to speed for the first time, and in fourth gear, when you put any sort of load on it, so you're accelerating, you want to pass somebody, something like that, it literally just pops out of gear. Now, I posted a thing on my Instagram asking kind of people's feedback about what might be causing that. Tom over at Total Car Reviews gave me a great suggestion. He said, reach out to Paul Jeffries, which is what I did, as well as talking with a lot of other folks here. And basically what it ends up being is that the springs in the synchro hubs are worn. So what that means is that the synchro hubs aren't really holding the gears in gear. Specifically between third and fourth is what Paul said, I think. Hopefully I'm saying this right. I'm not a gearbox expert, but lucky for you guys, what this means is that I'm going to be taking the motor back out. I'm not going to go super deep or anything into the whole removal again, but I am going to separate it, and then I will go into detail with my process of learning the transmission and how to rebuild and put new bulk rings in, put new springs in the synchro hubs. And I'm saying these words, but I don't really know what all of these things are, so it's definitely going to be a learning experience for everybody involved. I think it should be fun, but man, I am just not looking forward to pulling this motor again. I'm gonna scroll through the comments here, see what some people say. Hey Mini Tom, thanks for the t-shirt, or thanks for the note about the t-shirt. A couple people said that already. It's a South African Mini t-shirt. My best friend who lives in South Africa got this for me when we were in Ireland. Andrew, thank you so much for the kind words. Chubby says, mine leaks oil. It's a good thing as long as I know there is some inside it. Yeah, well, that's true. Although I was a little bit frustrated. I'm still a little bit frustrated because it's still leaking. It's just kind of a slower leak. Man, we've got a lot of people in here. This must have been a really good time to spin up a live stream. But yeah, I figure why not do a little Q&A or something here, since turn some lemons into lemonade. What kind of questions do you guys have for me tonight? Do you have any technical questions you want answered now that I have spilled the beans about the motor? Let's see if I can get this a little lower. Thank you, Vince Mini France. All right, so this is going to be a little jarring for a minute while I adjust my tripod. Hang on just a sec. All right, that's a little better. That's a little bit more normal. Okay, so Luca says, mine pops out of second gear when decelerating sometimes. Okay, well, so coming from someone who's not a gearbox expert, that's me, it might be the similar issue. So there's apparently these springs in your synchro hubs that kind of push, they hold everything in place when you're in gear, and if they start to get worn, they get tired and don't hold stuff anymore, especially when you give it a lot of power, things like that. Let's see here. Gene from the Bury says, mine's leak too. It still runs fine though. True, very true. Wow, Carlos says, I hope I said your name right. I always wanted to learn a little bit more with the mini transmission. Yeah, so I'm hoping that between, obviously this is not gonna be cheap, unfortunately. I know at least it's gonna cost money for the gasket set, it's gonna cost for the new bulk rings, the springs, a couple of tools I need. It's gonna be a few $100, that's for sure. I'm definitely not looking forward to that. So if you guys wanna support the channel, this would be a really great time. It'll help me pay for a lot of the parts and stuff to show you guys the process. Oh man, Robert Billis says that it's 11 in Croatia. I've always wanted to go to Croatia. I hear it's really beautiful and really cool to visit. So that's actually on our list here soon, my wife and I. Matt Firth says, I'm looking to buy a classic Mini. What do you think the best generation model to get started for relatively cheap from the UK, so no issue with importing? I'd probably go with like any carbed Mini. Find something that's affordable for you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, I think the carb Minis are the easiest to work on, and it's just little, yeah, that's probably what I would say. Any carbed Mini. MMCF says, more of a general query, I got a 94 Sprite and it seems to lack a bit of power, 50 miles per hour plus. Any thoughts to improve this slightly? What size is that motor? Is that a 1300? Is it a 1275? Chubby says, mine requires a bit of tug to get it into reverse, especially as I've got a quick shifter. Yeah, so some people suggested that the CAD shifter that I put on there might be doing it, but keep in mind the one that I put on my car was the standard ratio one. So I'm reasonably certain that that's not actually what is causing it. Obviously, before I pull the whole motor out and everything, I'm gonna bring a friend shifter, try that out, see if it still pops out, but not feeling super confident about that. Lucas C says, I have to admit it's something I'm going to live with for now as I'm wanting to swap the engine later down the road. I'm thinking about the K11 1.3 micro conversion. I don't even know what that is. That sounds cool. It's got lots of letters and numbers, so it's gotta be cool, right? Bog Standard says, keep it real mini. Most fun ever, sorry, but buffering, so cannot watch. Popping out of second gear is bulk rings. So it's popping out of second, oh, his version. Ah, yes. Mini Tom says, best Mini between 88 and 92. Still carb, but has a servo brakes. Yep, good tip. Obviously, for the cheap, the best Mini is the Mark I Cooper S. Yeah, those things are super cheap. You can get them for like only a small mortgage payment. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want that? The Toxicated Monkey says, do you know much about 1275 SPI engines? I know some. I'm not as well versed as the carb motors with those. But I mean, aside from the injection system, I mean, it's not really that much different than the other motors. Matt McCabe says, the channel seems to have grown heaps, which is wicked. Yes, I'm assuming you're talking about my channel. You could be talking about Mini Tom's channel. But yeah, it has grown a lot. I'm super thankful that people are interested in this stuff. It really helps keep me going, especially in a time like this when I know I have to pull the motor again. I have to admit, I am super, super down about this. It's just like, so at this point, pulling the motor this time will be the 4th time I've pulled the motor. So, Scott Durader says, I'm late. What are you bummed about, Cole? Long story short, I am having transmission issues related to some wear on the synchro hubs, which means I have to pull the motor in order to fix it. So transmission rebuild videos coming very soon. Happiness driving videos not coming very soon. Robert Billis says, who's best with electrical issues? Who's best on the chat right now or in the room, because there's nobody else in this room with me. And I'm okay with electrical issues. Hard to diagnose over the internet though. Chubby says, Cole, just pull the engine and replace it with a VTEC. Now I have to tell you, so I was thinking about VTECs a little bit more, not related to this specifically, but I like VTECs, I like the whole conversion thing, but one thing I will say is that in all the time that I have been in the Mini scene and I have driven VTECs or I've been in VTECs, there's something about them that just don't feel exactly like a Mini. I mean, obviously the power is outrageous, but I think it's something about the way that all the kind of like engine weight and everything gets addressed inside the engine bay there. It really changes the geometry of the way the Mini drives. And I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's just, it's different. So, yeah. Paul Gilbert says, do you know what can cause the heater to heat up and then cool down and then blow out cold air? Entire system renewed, including the matrix. You might have some air in it. It seems kind of weird, but that would probably be something I'd check. When you put the whole system back in, did you fill the heater back up with water or with the coolant before you filled up the rest of the stuff and reattached it? J16CKB, please do gearbox rebuild videos. There will be gearbox rebuild videos. There will be videos for sure. Lucas C says VTEC Minis have crazy torque steer in my opinion. That's true. There are some things you can actually do to address that. Namely, the final drive gear can be addressed a little bit. The size of your wheels really has a big impact on that. The width of your wheels also has some impact on that. I do not know all of the logistics, but I have a good friend here who is in the process of a VTEC conversion. He's an engineer and he went down this huge rabbit hole trying to find out, how do I get rid of my torque steer? And so far, I think he's still on that rabbit hole, but there's options. Chubby says, will you ever do the London to Brighton mini run? I would love to do that. I need a mini in the UK, and I'd also need I need to have some time off to come over there. Next year, I'm going to South Africa for a good friend's wedding, my best friend's wedding, and so I probably will not be at International Mini Meet as much as I want to be there. Like, I want to go there so bad. However, I might, my flight does connect through London, so I don't know if I'll have enough time to leave the airport or not, but if I do, maybe I can connect up with some of you guys over there in London, at least in a kind of a central place. Minnie Tom says, I was thinking the same thing about Brew, Cole. I think I would choose Brew. I'm assuming you mean VTEC there. I think I would choose a bike engine, keeps in the front light. Yeah, I would agree with that. A bike engine, excuse me, or some sort of like hybrid conversion. So maybe like that BMW K Series head from the motorbikes on the A Series motors, or even a 7-port conversion. There's a lot of ways to get a bunch of power out of the car. Robert Billis says, where are you located? I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, here in the United States. Paul Gilbert says, thanks, no I didn't, might be worth bleeding. What's the best way to bleed the heater? Honestly, the way there's not really a bleed the heater kind of method. What I would do, there's 2 hoses that go into your bulkhead, disconnect both of them and pour coolant down into one hose that'll fill up the heater system, and then it'll start to push the air out the other hose, and then it should, you should get most of the air out that way, kind of top off those lines and reconnect them. The Mini's actually pretty good at kind of like self-bleeding itself. There is an overflow on the back of the radiator, so fill that up, fill the radiator up, run it a little bit, like get it up to operating temperature, come back, and it'll probably kind of do this regurgitate thing. It'll kind of spit up some of that coolant, and then you should be pretty equalized. You might be able to add a little bit more. Alex Zavarro says, I've heard that the CAD short shifter could cause issues of the gear not fully engaging and possibly popping out of gear. Maybe try with the stock shifter before pulling the motor. Yes, yeah, so I actually mentioned that a little bit earlier in the video. I will be trying a stock shifter. I don't have the short shifter, I have the standard ratio CAD shifter, but I will be trying a stock shifter first. I definitely don't want to pull the motor if I don't have to. Matt Firth says, do you have any inherent issues with the Classic Mini? I'm doing a DT project and want to do it on something I'm passionate about. By the way, don't make it too complicated. I'm not a god. Let's see here. Anything inherent issues? I mean, there are a lot of inherent issues with the Classic Mini. I don't know what DT is. What is DT? Lucas says there's a guy in England that has a VTEC Mini with over 300 horsepower, bright orange. Yeah, I've seen that one. It's a pretty cool build. I really don't like how it looks, but I think it is a cool build, and it's really a testament to their ability to create something cool. Design technology is what DT stands for. That's a really hard question. Like printing, like 3D printing, or like CNC? What kind of materials are you working with? Hope this helps with your video about the mini gearbox. Thank you so much for that contribution. That's huge. Thank you. I've never actually received a super comment. I've always wondered how those worked. But thank you so much for that contribution. It really is going to help me. That's like basically a whole bulk ring right there. One question, since all Classic Mini gearboxes whine a bit, at what point can it be considered noisy enough to require a rebuild? Symptoms. So I would say that the whining, they all do whine, that's true, and different gearboxes have different kind of whine notes, as it were, and I think the biggest thing is when you start to have like actual mechanical problems. So when you are driving your car and you're having trouble shifting in between gears because there's like grinding, either that might be the clutch, but assuming it's not the clutch, your synchronizers might be going bad, which means that would really be indicative of a time to replace it. Really, when things get very loud, it's hard to quantify exactly when that needs to happen. But the best I can say is just when you start to see changes in the way you have to drive. So I have to now shift really hard, or I have to wiggle the shifter a certain way. Those are indications that something's not working right and needs to be addressed. Matt says, I can use more or less everything, can 3D print and CNC. I would love, okay, so here's the thing. It's not related to the motor. It's related to the internal cabin comfort levels. And I would really like a way to mount a phone. So you've got your ashtray in the center. I don't know if that was in all of them or if it was just the early ones, but you have that ashtray that's on that dash rail. It'd be really cool if there was something that like bolted into that and then like hung out or something, and then you could put a phone mount there or something, so you could have like GPS or audio or whatever you want on your phone. Obviously, drive safe, don't do anything stupid, you know. But But yeah, that would be really cool. Chubby says Minovation phone holder. I actually have never seen that. Do they have a phone holder? I have their cup holder in my car already. I gotta have my cups. I'm American. I need my lattes. Oh no, wait, that's Tom. I need my espressos because I'm Italian. Chubby says that's exactly what I'm after. Okay, okay. I'll have to check it out. I'll have to see. What other questions do you guys have for me? Awful quiet tonight, folks. Is there anything about the gearbox specifically that you are wanting me to show you guys? I mean, there's so many things about the gearbox. I'm going to go into most of the process, but is there anything like that? Lucas says, what is the biggest pain of a job to do on the Mini? Meaning it should be an easy job, but it can take forever to do just because it's on a Mini. I would say that the steering rack does have a pretty high place there for me. I don't know how easy that is to replace on more modern cars. I would imagine it's not as hard as it is on the Mini. But basically that is, conceptually it's very easy. It's like I just need to take these two things off of the wheels and then this rack is bolted on. I just unbolt it, comes off, right? No, not so easy. You actually have to like drop the subframe a little bit, maybe even drop it all the way. Sometimes it's just then like getting those U-bolts in there, it's just a miserable job. MMCF says, time for me to shoot. Looking forward to the new vids. Keep up the good work, my friend. Awesome content. Thank you very much. Off you go. Chubby says, can you make a rust-free Mini? What you might not know is that my Mini has a lot of rust on it, and I try and like hide it. You know, I just take pictures in like certain angles. It's like girls who are like not really confident in themselves, like taking photos from down below, and they're like, you know, with low light. Yeah, that's what I do with my Mini. Jeep 2003, I did the rack in my 66 without dropping the sub at all. At all? Like, how did you do that? I've done it in my car, I've done it in a friend's car, different generations, and both of them we still had to drop the subframe just a little bit to get the whole rack to like slide out. Things just too tight down there. That is a testament to your ability to finagle things. Lucas C says, I would say the steering rack as well as getting the bottom hose off of the radiator. Yes, that bottom hose, because I've had leaks on that timing cover here a couple times after putting the motor back in, I've had to take the radiator out twice, 3 times. And I'm an expert at it now. I've got the like hose clamp in the right position. I've got a screwdriver that's like this long, and I just go down there, doop, 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 pops right off. Chubby says, mate, you live in the US, come to the UK winter and see how long yours survives. Yeah, in Charlotte, our winter is very mild. We live near some places that it gets pretty intense, but not in Charlotte's just like, it's just cold. It like snows for like a week. Paul says, do you use oil wax underneath? No, I have the 3M underbody like coating, the rubberized coating, so I don't feel like I need it. Also, we don't have that product in the US. I can get it, but it's just not really a thing in the US. Ben Dawson says, is there a way to stop oil from leaking where the rod goes into the diff without taking everything out? Yeah, there's a little bit. I think you should be able to replace most of the stuff. Maybe even that little like copper ring. Some of it you just can't get in there. Jamal at Cooper, I forget what his company is called, but Jamal has a YouTube channel. It's a Jamal Mini. If you Google that, you should come up with something. He does a little video of where he takes all that stuff out. Check that out. He's got really good guidance on that kind of stuff and can really help out. And he shows like what things you can replace there. Jean says, I switched out the rubber cones for springs. I hate it. Which color springs did you get? I'm surprised. I really, really like my springs still. Matt says, which variation of the Mini do you like the most? Pickup, Estate, Moke, all that. So my favorite is probably the Pickup, followed closely by just the Clubman. I mean, I love my Mini. They're all so good. It's like varying degrees of awesome. Nothing's bad. I really like that Pickup. Luca asks, do you drive your Mini in all weather? Yes, I do. The only thing I don't drive it in is snow, just because I don't like to get all the salty stuff on the car, and it's just miserable to drive in the snow. Reese says, have you heard of Project Binky channel? If so, what do you think of it? Yeah, I've heard that channel. I've been watching that since before I started this channel. And that's unbelievable. I love that channel. I love that Mini. To be honest with you guys, I really don't want the project to end because I just want to watch them continue to make stuff for that thing. That alternator bracket they created recently was just so far above and beyond anything I've seen. Vince says, question about my wiper screen motors. It's not very strong. Is that normal? Yeah, they're not super strong. You can usually do like a little bit of a rebuild in them, like taking it apart and like really cleaning everything out inside and like re-greasing everything. It does help, but yeah, they're not super strong, especially the early ones. Jean says, I have the blue springs. Well, that's probably why you don't like them. Those are really rigid. The red springs are like more road. I'm assuming you're driving the Mini on the road, but the blue springs are way too tight for me. Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Those are not for me. Marcel says hello from Germany. Hello, welcome to the stream. Jean says, I keep hitting the arches no matter how high I adjust the height, especially in the rear. So that can be a combination of two things. So like there's the springs, obviously, with the height adjustment there with the high-lows. But if you're hitting those arches every time, you might have an issue with your shock absorbers. They might be too soft, they might be kind of worn out, and they're just not, the combination of the two is really supposed to help address that rebound and that damper as it hits, you know, bumps and things like that in the road. So might be worth checking. Alex Toon, hey man, welcome to the stream. Alcohol sucks, man. Get the Mini ready to kick ass in 2019. All the best. Popcorn at the ready. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm just gonna be pissed about it. Jean says, I have new shocks, they're adjustable. Okay, so what shocks do you have? Maybe, I'm sure you've already tried turning them up. These are just kind of like the first things that I would think of. Turning up the shocks to make them a little bit more rigid. It's super strange to me. Maybe I'm getting those mixed up. Maybe blue is like super soft and red is road, and then like fast road, and then green is really rigid. I forget. And I think some of the companies do different colors for different things. So what I'm saying could be like totally false anyway. All I know is I really, really like my red springs those are the ones I got from 7 Mini Parts, so. Charcoal Soul, I'm assuming that's how you say that. Hey Cole, come back to Ireland, I need a new clutch. I don't want to do another clutch right now, I just did my clutch. So, but I would like to go back to Ireland. The gold colored shocks. I don't know which ones those are. I've got Gaz adjustable shocks on mine, and I've got them about halfway in the whole adjustment range. So I think there's like 15 clicks, so got it right in the middle of that well, as much as you can get in the middle of an odd number. Gaz? Oh, interesting. So they're like gold and blue? Where'd you get the blue springs from, too? Because if all the stuff is new and you're not happy with the springs, I might even switch them out for the red springs if they still can be returned. Luca says, do you find other drivers struggle to see you sometimes in your Mini? Yes, 100% yes. Like, not only am I on the right-hand side, which is like mind-boggling for people over here, but the car is substantially smaller than pretty much every single American car on the road. So the mentality I have when I'm driving the car is basically you drive it like it's a motorcycle, and treat it like everybody's out to kill you. So, yeah. Reese says, exactly what I was thinking watching Project Binky. Unbelievable engineering. I currently have a 1275 Mini and have flat spots when accelerating hard in 3rd and 4th gear. Flat spots when accelerating in 3rd and 4th gear. You could have maybe like uneven fueling happening. Accelerating. So are you already at speed and then you are pressing the gas and then it's not accelerating the way you want it to? Lucas says, I bet you can't get petrol without people questioning you. Yes, that is true. So there's one thing I would say about driving the Mini here is that when you drive it, everybody wants to talk with you, everybody wants to ask you what it is, have a long conversation. So whenever I drive somewhere in the Mini, I always leave early because I know that people are gonna stop and wanna talk, which is fine. You know, I bought the car, I know what I'm getting with it, so just leave early. So Reese says, already at speed. Okay, so I just double check quickly I'd probably double check your timing. Just double check that right off the bat. Get a timing light, see if you can figure that out. There's Steveston Motor Company did a really good video on timing and how it all works. So check that, make sure it's right. And then after that, I would probably check to make sure that the float bowls, they have to like move up and down at kind of like a steady rate, and check to make sure that they go. Check to make sure that they have the right amount of oil, and then I'm trying to think what else here. There is an adjustment screw. Hang on just a second, I gotta actually answer a text message from my wife. Huh. Okay, lost my train of thought. Completely forgot what I was talking about. Andrew says, before I head off, are you going to include connecting the gearbox to the engine? I haven't looked into this and just wondering if it's a headache in the making. I did it in one of my Bad Wolf episodes. Just look for the thumbnail that has like the engine that's sitting right above the transmission on the ground. It's not awful, it's just, you just need to take your time and make sure the gaskets seal real nicely. Jack Thomas says hello. Welcome, Jack. Marcel Gerber says, what radio do you got in your Mini? Think you're in a speaker everywhere, guys, because I've seen pretty much is all stock. What radios do Minis offer back in the day? I don't know that it ever came with a radio except for the later models, and I think even then it was just kind of like an aftermarket looking thing. I got this Kenwood amp. There's a video on my channel about it. Just search for Kenwood on the channel, and there is It's cool because there's no head unit. It's literally just an amp, and it has a little teeny control display. It's like this big, and you can put it anywhere you want it. And then you don't have like a big head unit. It's Bluetooth, and you just plug it up to your 4 speakers. I've got my speakers set up on the dash, and then on the rail or the parcel shelf behind the back seat. Simon Hill says, Reese, check your dash pot oil, especially in the weather has got cooler recently. You might need a thinner oil. That's a really good tip. That's what I was thinking of in my head when I was saying that dash pot oil. It helps regulate how quickly those open and allow more air and more fuel into your carburetors. So if you don't have thin oil and it's cold, like he said, it's gonna have a hard time opening immediately. Felipe says, hey, saludos from Chile, Maximo Exponente. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Minimat TV says, hi, what have I missed? Jack, Minimat TV, to answer that real quick, I have to pull the motor again because my synchro hubs, the springs in them are worn out, and it's preventing my car from staying in 4th gear. Long story short, I am gonna try switching from the standard ratio CAD shifter I have back to a regular shifter just to see if that fixes it. But if it doesn't, I'm gonna have to pull the motor again and do a transmission rebuild. Reese, if you think it might be overfueling, take out some of the spark plugs and see what color they are. If they're black, it's too rich. Brown, like golden, that's perfect. If they're white, it's too lean. Andrew says, thank you, must have been the one episode I missed. Good luck with the repairs, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next installment. Thanks very much, man. Oliver says, hello from across the pond. Hello, welcome. BM Thrill says, good day from the Gold Coast in Australia. I love the channel. Thanks for joining. What time is it in Australia right now? Or at least where you are in Australia. Stefano, welcome. Hey man, how are you doing? Sorry for your gears problem, so I'll finish my Mini before you can drive yours for a week without a problem. You know what, mister? That's rude. That's rude, sir. But I'm glad that your Mini's gonna be done, even if it's gonna be done before mine. So I'll probably be signing off here in just a little bit. Do you guys have any other questions that you want to ask before I sign off? Excuse me. Seeing crickets. Simon Hill says, I'd had no end of issues with the CAD quick shift. It ruined the synchros from 1st to 2nd in my straight cut box. Thankfully, it's not a quick shift, but that is good information. I think those CAD quick shifts are cool, but they are a little bit finicky. So unless you get it like just right, it's going to be a little bit of effort to get it working right. 8:35 a.m. on Thursdays. Greetings from the future. I am sure you have used that line a few times. I always thought it was cool how it was like the future over there, even though it's like I'm finishing the day and you're starting the brand new one already. Oh, hey Simon from Mini Colors. Oh, hey man, I need to get with you soon. I have some IT stuff that I need to discuss with related to that API that when we got stood up. Some cross-origin issues. HTTPS, right? Minimat TV says, when you changed from drums to disc, did you have to change the brake master? Which master did you need? It was a really long time ago. I think that my master was already worn, and I think I got a bigger master cylinder. Maybe I just stuck with the stock size, but it's been working fine since I've had it. Hey Corey, welcome to the channel. Real quick, I'm probably going to have to pull the motor. The synchro hubs are going bad in there, the springs in the synchro hubs rather. So it's not staying in fourth gear, which means that I need to replace those springs, which means the engine comes out and a whole bunch of other stuff, obviously, and a gearbox rebuild. Stefano says, I was joking, don't take it that way, love to learn a little bit every day from your channel. Thank you. I definitely was not taking it poorly. I knew you were joking. Lucas says, do you have to take your Mini for a safety check each year? Define safety check. Not really, no. It's based on state laws, and most state laws are that if a car is over 25 years old, it doesn't have to meet emissions. It doesn't have to meet safety standards. Really, it just has to have like a windshield, bumpers, lights, and that's really it. I can't think of anything else that it really needs. Some states are different, but in North Carolina, it's leans more on the like less strict. Brad says, maybe your Mini is refusing to run correctly and generate more problems because you put gas in the tank instead of petrol. Oh man, I thought I was gonna make it through this whole live stream without having to discuss petrol, this made up word. BM Thrill says, opinion on the 123 distributor. So far, in my short time with the Mini running, it's been really great. I've only got it on the standard advance curve right now. I think that I'm probably gonna have to tweak the mechanical advance on the cam. I think I over advanced it just a little bit. So I'm gonna have to remeasure that, and then I think I'm gonna get a lot more play out of that 123 distributor. Lucas says, we have much stricter inspections. Yeah, I've pretty much everywhere else than the US has stricter, at least like bigger countries that have a big thing about emissions and stuff. The US, I don't think that any of the laws would really pass. People would get too pissy about it here. Jack Thomas says, do you think you'd ever put a turbo on your Mini? I would love to put a turbo on a Mini, not this Mini. I would love to do it on like a 998 motor. That would be fun. I'd love to build one. I don't have a drive to put it into a car really. I just want to build a turbo motor. I know that sounds weird. Reese says, as with all Mini, is there one modification you really want to do but just costs too much money, e.g. 16 valve head conversion? I'd really like to do an injection conversion. I would love to ditch the carbs for a modern system, maybe one from like Specialist Components. They make some really cool stuff, and I think that it'd be cool to just have like a totally electronic system on here. I'm definitely a tech nerd and I love that stuff. I love the idea of like, oh, let's press some buttons and you have more horsepower. That's fun to me. Elmer says, hi, are you ever gonna consider a Honda swap, B16, B18? Not on this car. I don't even know if I really want to do it. It's kind of been done before on like Mighty Car Mods and stuff. I don't know that I could add much value in terms of like what I would post on here. I want to do something that's not been done, really. Something that's different and can help other people do it in the future. Carlos says, since we are talking about distributors, what is your opinion about the CSI electronic distributors? I've not used one. I hear they're good, but the 123 distributor is also electronic, like fully electronic, and I really like that, so I probably would like those too. Oliver says, UK laws aren't too bad at the moment with classics, however, that might be going down the shitter soon. Stefano says, old cars in North Carolina can have a lower price insurance. How many taxes do you pay in a year on your Mini? So North Carolina is real funny. So you register it as an antique car. There are really lax mileage limits on it. I don't even think they enforce them anymore. but the car has to be over 25 years old. I do have to pay a little bit more because I use this car in my videos, which is technically a business, and I'm earning money based on it. But roughly, I am paying about $120 a year for taxes on the car, and then that includes registration as well. So 120 bucks a year for registration and taxes, and then insurance is like 20 bucks a month or something. It was really not much at all. Corey says, if there's any consolation, I have to send my car back to the paint shop. They missed a couple spots, and there are also a few spots I'm not happy with considering what I paid for it. That's a really big bummer. Paint work is such a finicky thing, and that's one of those things that you just got to push back when it's not right. We might have working cars about the same time. Simon says, I think there are a couple of videos of my 1380 Turbo on my channel. It was years ago now. Got a 1275 auto. Auto? Interesting. What do you think of that? Brad, just coming in here to drop a bomb and then you're out of here. Sneaky. Philip says, thoughts on putting a motorcycle engine in. I think it's really cool. I don't think it would be good for like a daily driver. That chain drive is not made for, specifically the chain is not made for like a heavy weight of a car. So that could be kind of a pain in the ass, like having to really service that. But I guess if you're up on it, the thing is too that that's also pretty loud. I think the whole conversion is badass though. I would love to do one. I'm not sure how to say your name. C-L-A-E-S. Hi, any tips for dry suspension instead of my Hydrolastic? Greetings from Sweden. Well, one, that Hydrolastic suspension is pretty original. It's pretty cool. So if you do take it out, I would not get rid of it. But I think with the Hydrolastic suspension systems, really the only thing you can do is go with the cones. I don't know that you can do springs really. So getting a set of rubber cones, like taking out all the bags and stuff, so you need to drop the top arms, drop a lot of the rear suspension, basically all of it, and then replace those bags with cones. Get new high-lows. I think that's probably it, actually. Simon says, I always fascinated about putting a Toyota 1.5 VVTi Yaris T-Sport engine in a Mini. Small and revvy, don't have the fabrication skills. That would be pretty cool. That would be different. I wonder if they have those motors here. They might. I mean, they have the Yaris here, but I don't know if it's the same motor. Oliver says, bye now, it's 11 p.m. here and I have school tomorrow. Have a good night and enjoy school tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Lucas says, I've spoken to someone with a motorcycle conversion. He said they eat clutches but are fun. Yeah, see, that's kind of what I wondered is it's a lot of weight for that small little clutch on that motorcycle motor. So it's asking a lot of those mechanical parts. But I think that's it for tonight. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I gotta go cook some dinner, and thanks so much for everyone for joining. It's been really fun. Unfortunately, it's not great news, but I guess it's great news for you guys because you get more videos, but it's not great news for me. I got a lot of work ahead of me. So expect some videos. One thing, I have a huge secret. It's huge, and I can't reveal it yet, but it is coming. Is coming Thanksgiving-ish, maybe a little before, maybe a little after. It's gonna blow you guys away. It really is. It's not related to my Mini either. It's super. But anyways, more on that soon. Until then, I will catch you guys on the next episode. See you then.